from the city lights, nestled deep within a range of mountains, lay a valley known as Siyah Koh. The atmosphere there was always shrouded in a strange, thick fog. Aaryan, a collector of ancient and mysterious history, set out toward this valley in his old car. People said that those who went to Siyah Koh never returned, or if they did, they were never the same. Aaryan dismissed these tales as mere folklore, but as he entered the valley, a strange stench and an eerie silence enveloped the air. In the center of the valley stood an ancient structure made of stone, as if someone had pulled it up from the depths of the earth. Aaryan entered the building with his flashlight. The walls were covered with bizarre symbols inscribed in an unknown language. He noticed old coins scattered on the floor, bearing the image of a creature that no longer existed in the modern world. As Aaryan picked up a coin, the massive door of the structure slammed shut on its own. Night began to fall. Aaryan tried to open the door, but it seemed to have become part of the wall. Suddenly, he heard footsteps echoing behind the walls. It wasn't a human. The rhythm of the steps lacked any balance of weight or speed. Aaryan shouted, "Who's there?" But only his own voice echoed back. Then a raspy whisper brushed against his ear. "You haven't come here to return. You have come to stay forever." Aaryan smashed a window pane with all his might and jumped out. He ran toward the forest, and when he looked back, he saw a blue light emanating from the building, a light that seemed to be a living entity chasing him. He ran all night until the first light of dawn broke. When he reached the mountains, he found his car parked exactly where he left it. But his hair had turned white overnight, and he still held the ancient coin, which had now turned black and burning hot. When Aaryan returned home, the ancient coin was still in his pocket. It felt heavier and hotter than before. He locked it in a box inside his cupboard, but as soon as night fell, scratching noises began to emanate from the box. Aaryan realized that the same symbols he had seen at Siyah Koh were now appearing on his room's walls. He was terrified. He decided he had to uncover the truth behind the structure, or this shadow would never stop haunting him. Aaryan began researching the coin and the history of Siyah Koh in an old library. After days of hard work, he found an ancient book stating that Siyah Koh was actually a time lock. According to the book, those who go there return physically, but a piece of their soul remains trapped. That trapped piece is what calls them back. Aaryan understood why his hair had turned white and why he felt so weak. It was the consequence of his stolen soul. Aaryan decided to return to Siyah Koh. This time, he wasn't alone. He had the ancient book and several items he had acquired based on its instructions: incense, old coins, and a special dagger. When he stood before the structure again, the scene had changed. It was no longer a ruin. A grand, spectral gathering was taking place. All the people who had gone missing were present, but their eyes were hollow. Aaryan saw the blue-lit entity standing among them. It smiled at Aaryan. Aaryan placed the coin on the ground. As it hit the earth, a massive explosion rocked the building. Aaryan screamed, "I have come to take back a piece of my soul!" He drove the dagger into the ground with all his might. Suddenly, all the shadows vanished, and the building began to crumble into dust. When the dust settled, Aaryan was alone. The Siyah Koh Valley was silent. The coin in his hand was gone, replaced by an old photograph containing pictures of his ancestors. Aaryan returned to his city, but even today,
When he looks into a mirror, he occasionally sees that same blue light in his eyes. He had ended the secret of Siyah Koh, but its memories had become part of his mind.
Aaryan was trying to lead a normal life. Months passed. One night, while alone, he looked into a mirror. His face looked normal, but when he peered closely at his reflection, he noticed something strange. Aaryan's reflection raised its hand and tapped the glass. But Aaryan hadn't moved his hand at all. Aaryan's blood turned cold. Aaryan stared into the mirror, and his reflection smiled and said, "What did you think, Aaryan? That you escaped? You are still trapped there." That's when Aaryan remembered. The one who had returned wasn't the real Aaryan. It was the blue light entity that had taken his form to enter the human world. The real Aaryan was still trapped in that building, waiting for his release. The Aaryan walking among us wasn't acting out of fear, but with a new purpose: to lure more people to that ancient building in Siyah Koh. He began writing the same old symbols in his diary. His reflection stepped out of the mirror and placed a hand on his shoulder, saying, "Now it's your turn to bring others." Aaryan's body began to become transparent. He realized he was just a puppet. He looked out the window and saw hundreds of people approaching his house. They were the relatives of all those who had gone missing in Siyah Koh. He opened the door and gave them a terrifying smile. The story hadn't ended. A new nightmare had just begun. The shadow of Siyah Koh was about to spread through the city streets.